Today, August 21st, Ross Coulthart's new documentary dropped, titled Out of This World. And in it, Dr. Garry Nolan, world-renowned immunologist of Stanford University, stated definitively that people who know about UAP crashes, the programs surrounding them, are about to go public, and that there is a UFO cover-up. The house of cards is falling, baby. So I was able to see a small clip from the 7 News documentary, and I have transcribed it, and I'm going to share that with you. Later, I will watch the totality of the documentary, and maybe I'll do another analysis of it. But this is off the fly because this is breaking news, and I think it's really important I get this out there ASAP. So the way I'm going to read this transcript is where it is in parentheses, it's Ross Coulthart speaking, and where it is not, it's Garry Nolan, but I'll say their names before each sentence anyways. Ross Coulthart states, when you say the government's been involved in a cover-up, do you think they've been concealing? Garry responds, oh yes. Ross Coulthart responds, it's an amazing allegation. Garry responds, I know it for a fact. Ross Coulthart responds, why do you know that? Garry responds, because I've spoken to the people who are about to come out and whistleblow on it. Ross responds, wow, so you know what's coming. Garry, yeah. Ross, so there has been a cover-up. Garry, yeah. And there has been an active cover-up. I mean, just look at what the Department of Defense announced last week. They announced an office to study the phenomenon. Money put aside. They said we're going back to 1947, Ross. Which is incredible. That's the date of Roswell. Garry, yeah, 1947. We want a list of every operation that you've done to disinform and misinform. For those that instinctively respond to that with, well, big deal. Who cares what Garry Nolan says? Well then, maybe you don't have a proper comprehension of the likes of Garry Nolan. He is a world-renowned immunologist, Nobel Prize nominee. There is a lab named after him at Stanford. Now, I am not suggesting that substantiates what he's saying. What I am suggesting is that he is a reliable source. And that is extraordinary because he's making an extraordinary claim. As always, let's see where the chips fall. So I'm going to read some excerpts from the article that came out today spotlighting the documentary, which I have not yet seen, but I'm going to watch, from 7news.com.au. UFO spotters have been dismissed as loonies, but has the U.S. government been hiding the truth? There's been an active cover-up. The light has finally been shown, by Ross Coulthart. All right, so I'm going to share that excerpt with you. Congress has already passed laws demanding cooperation by all U.S. intelligence and defense agencies to allow former or serving government and private contractor employees to blow the whistle on UAP secrets, ensuring there are protections against them losing their job for revealing what they know in breach of non-disclosure agreements or security oaths. As Professor Garry Nolan observes, the Congress is even demanding lists of all non-disclosure laws associated with the UFO UAP secret programs. Why is that interesting? He says. He continues, it's not the NDAs themselves. It's the people who signed the NDAs, because that then is the paper trail to the individuals and the programs in which they're associated. And then at the end of the article, it's written, if Professor Garry Nolan is right, and whistleblowers are indeed about to come forward with dramatic evidence of a U.S. government cover-up, then things are about to get very interesting in Washington, D.C. You're damn right I'm going to do another dramatic walk into the frame. Well, as I always say, let's see where the chips fall. But personally, I wouldn't vote. Personally, I wouldn't bet against Garry Nolan. Just wouldn't do it. The man is sharp as a tack. Anyways, let's say there have been crash retrieval a program that is involved with crash retrievals, because there's been talk that if there is a program involved with crash retrievals, that's not all they do. And let's say it's housed in an aerospace company, what they call a special access program. And there's other iterations of that, I guess. It gets very complicated. And let's say this is all going to come to a fore, right? We're going to learn that that UAP have crashed of unknown origin, and that the stories we've heard are true. And it's not just intact craft that have crashed and been recovered, but biological specimens, or creatures, if you will, have as well. Let's say that all comes to a fore. Let's say that all manifests in our world, even though many people think such a proposition is impossible. I mean, obviously, that would be profoundly fascinating. This will be the biggest scandal, I would imagine, in American government history. Other governments are going to start talking about what they know about UAP, because I imagine this manifestation would cause an influence, a ripple effect for other countries to start opening the books, if you will. If this has any truth to it, we are essentially living through a pretty interesting Netflix series, except it's real. And then there's a moral issue that is grounded in this process, in my opinion, because tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people all over the globe have claimed that they have had, frankly, unsolicited contact of non-human intelligences. Now, what happens if we can verify there are crash retrieval programs and craft have been recovered as well as bodies? That means that all those people that have come forward and said they've had unsolicited contact, now the probability that some of them have been truthful skyrockets. And the world gets turned upside down in one fell swoop. That's what I signed up for. I don't know about you. Now, look, if these whistleblowers come forward, it's going to be huge. It's not necessarily going to seal the deal immediately, but it will make it much more likely that such propositions are true, that there is a crash retrieval program, and that craft have been recovered, and that we are not alone, and that we are being engaged by non-human intelligence. But it will only be the beginning. Only be the beginning. Maybe this whole thing truly is unraveling. We are 1,700 days post December 16th, 2017, New York Times article in which Elizondo was quoted, in which we learned about ATIP. We learned that the United States government was studying UAP in secret. Yeah, this is looking interesting. This is looking interesting. Our assumptions about what's possible, about what governments could do or are willing to do, about what they could get away with, about how information about our universe could be insulated from all 8 billion of us. Those assumptions may get flushed down the toilet. And maybe we as a civilization will be less hubris. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? And maybe if we do get these disclosures, we'll learn to better cooperate with one another. Realizing that we are not we are not at the top of the food chain. No, we aren't. Far from it. Well, look, I'm not a prophet. I'm famous for saying I could be wrong about everything. But I think we are not alone, and that we're being engaged by non-human intelligence. And according to Garry Nolan, whistleblowers be a comin'. Be a comin'. Yeah. So get your snacks ready and get your head straight. And maybe we'll learn some interesting things in the coming days, weeks, months, and year or two ahead. Please. Oh, before I say that, I am going to watch the documentary, and I may do another analysis. I just wanted to get this out there because this is huge news. By any objective standard, Garry Nolan is a heavyweight, a genius intellectual. He's sold businesses that are on the NASDAQ, as far as I understand. The guy is a immunologist extraordinaire, Stanford University. He's not a fool. He is not going to say stuff that's going to just wipe his reputation away. The man knows people. The man is a critical thinker. And I would not bet against him. Now, please do not forget to subscribe. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can check out my merch shop where I sell t-shirts. You could become a patron. You could become a YouTube member. Or you could just slap a like on this bad boy and I will appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching. And I think now is as good a time as ever to chant. The house of cards is falling, baby. Special thanks to all patrons, YouTube members, those that have bought merch, those that have given me one-time donation. I couldn't do without you. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.